KCAU 9 is proud to present Honoring Black History with host Tim Seaman.
Hello, and thanks for joining me for this half-hour special Honoring Black History. I'm Tim Seaman. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll introduce you to some of those who have played a part in shaping African American history, both around the country and here in Siouxland. Police and minorities have a complicated history in America, as well as here in Sioux City. There's nothing different. KCAU 9 reporter Nick Wilson shows us how a community group and law enforcement are now working together to make the future better than the past.
Sioux City resident Monique Scarlett says compassion between minorities and police has grown a lot over the years. When Monique Scarlett was growing up in Sioux City, she says conversations between minorities and police were fueled by anger.
It was more of pointing fingers, a lot of hostility, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt. And what I decided to do was, hey, let's sit down together and listen to each other and then find solutions.
Scarlett formed a group called Unity in the Community. She says it aims to bridge the gaps between law enforcement and residents. Sioux City Police Chief Rex Mueller recalls one of the first events Unity in the Community ever held in 2016.
And it was a positive event where they came to police headquarters, the organizers along with the attendees. We marched with officers around the station. It was basically a message of unity.
But Mueller says the two sides talk about difficult issues in public forums. He says police have to acknowledge feedback at these meetings, and that's okay.
You go in ready to be critical of yourself and you open yourself up to criticism, and that does happen, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for us to hear that. But the other side of that is so much positive reflection comes out of those.
The two groups host a block party every year. They go to an underserved community and have a barbecue, play games, and give away prizes.
It's just an opportunity, especially to connect with the youth of the community, and so those are terrific events.
Scarlett says sticking together through good times and bad is crucial to long-term success.
It is an ongoing process. We can't just say, well, this was done, so we're done and we've reached our goal. No, it's an everyday, ongoing learning process.
Honoring Black History, Nick Wilson, KCAU 9 News.
Well, did you know that Siouxland is home to a cemetery that dates back to Reconstruction times post-Civil War? KCAU 9 reporter Dylan Adams shares the story of the South Jordan Cemetery and its mysteries that are still being solved.
Tucked away in the southern part of the Loess Hills, nestled in between miles of farmland north of the sleepy town of Moorhead, is a piece of history that indicates who some of the first black settlers in Iowa were. Chair of Monona County's Historic Preservation Commission, Judy Ehlers, says she's been curious about the cemetery's origins for more than 50 years, and through hours of research has uncovered some answers.
The cemetery actually started in 1882 when Adam Myers donated the land for the cemetery when his mother passed away.
Myers' mother Mariah's tombstone and others are still visible today. And Ehlers says there's 20 graves in total with pink and blue flags indicating the people's gender. But not much else is known about the buried besides their names and census records, and that they helped Myers settle and farm the land. But one December day, Ehlers received a phone call.
I happened to get a chance to talk to a fellow who his grandparents are buried at the cemetery there.
Ehlers says the man on the phone from nearby Pilger, Nebraska, was able to tell her how his family ended up in Iowa after the Civil War was over.
The people that were coming were from Ohio. They originally come from Virginia, and they had left a plantation owner, and he gave them the choice. They could either stay with him or they could go. And so when Adam came along, they decided that they would follow Adam to this part of the country.
Through a process that lasted more than 3 years, Ehlers and others helped place the cemetery on the National Register of Historic Places last March. Once known as the Black Cemetery, Ehlers says it's one of only 2 known in the state, and says it's important to her to honor the special place.
I think they need to be honored and remembered, not let people just drive over it, farm over it, or whatever's going to happen down the road. So if we've got it there and we've got the sign that says it's on the National Register, that won't happen.
Honoring Black History Month, Dylan Adams, KCAU-9 News.
All right, thanks, Dylan. And there is more African American history in our backyard than most people realize. In fact, in South Dakota, a woman is working to bring history to life. Kelly Volk shares that story.
Joyce Jefferson is a storyteller, portraying the women she calls sheroes.
I tell the stories of African Americans who have lived in South Dakota and Dakota Territory primarily.
Jefferson performed at the Brookings Public Library. Here, she's portraying Betty Blair, a member of the Blair family who homesteaded in Sully County. Jefferson describes her as strong, creative, and an entrepreneur.
When things got to be probably a little calm, and they wanted to have more people to come to this area because it was a nice area, she became a land agent. And she was in Des Moines, and she would sell land plots in Sully County.
Jefferson's presentation is part of a series of Black History Month events here at the library.
I hope that with these programs, with Joyce's program, we're able to show people a peek into Black history, a peek into Black culture, and allow them to explore that from here on out and make this more than a month.
The railroad decided they were going to pier.
Jefferson says there's a lot of Black history in South Dakota.
And by my giving voice to these people, that's an opportunity for other people to know about who they are.
In Brookings, Kelly Volk.
And local libraries are a great resource to learn more about the stories and experiences of African Americans in the United States. Librarians tell us that they're always happy to help find a book that fits what a person is looking for. Well, still to come, we'll visit an organization aiming to help Black men get mental health help by using the bonds of the barbershop. Find out how it's offering more than a haircut coming up. But first, a Siouxland businesswoman who is helping her clients with their hair and their financials. That's next.